The lingua franca of status, how accents have shaped social constructs in English-speaking societies over the last century.
Over the past 100 years, the subtle nuances of spoken English, the rhythm, the intonation, the very way we pronounce our vowels and consonants, have served as far more than mere regional identifiers. Accents have been powerful, often invisible arbiters of social standing, intelligence, and belonging within English-speaking societies. From the clipped tones of BBC announcers to the vibrant cadences of urban streets, the evolution of accents reflects profound shifts in social mobility, media influence, and the persistent human tendency to categorize and judge. This article delves into the intricate relationship between accents and social constructs, exploring how this dynamic has played out across the UK, North America, and beyond over the last century.
The reign of received pronunciation and the class divide, early to mid-20th century.
In the early to mid-20th century, particularly in the United Kingdom, the link between accent and social class was stark and undeniable. At the apex of the linguistic hierarchy stood received pronunciation, often dubbed the Queen's English or Oxford English. Received pronunciation was not merely a way of speaking. It was a badge of elite education, inherited wealth, and undisputed authority. Taught in public schools and adopted by the BBC for its authoritative broadcasts, received pronunciation, or RP, became the default voice of power, prestige, and perceived intellectual superiority. To speak with RP was to signal membership in the upper echelons of society. Conversely, the myriad regional accents, the lilting brogue of the Irish, the robust tones of working-class Glaswegians, the distinctive patois of Cockney Londoners, or the clipped vowels of Northern England, were often relegated to positions of lesser social standing. These accents were deeply tied to specific geographies and socioeconomic classes. While they fostered strong local identities, they frequently carried negative connotations in the wider national consciousness, often being associated with a lack of education, lower intelligence, or simply a lack of refinement. For many, shedding their regional accent in favor of RP was seen as a prerequisite for social advancement, a form of linguistic assimilation essential for breaking through the class ceiling. Across the Atlantic, while North America lacked a single, universally acknowledged prestige accent comparable to received pronunciation, regional variation still carried significant social weight. General American, a relatively neutral accent devoid of strong regional markers, emerged as the unofficial standard in broadcasting and formal settings. Distinctive accents, like those of the American South, New England, or New York City, while rich in cultural heritage, sometimes triggered stereotypes or assumptions about a speaker's background, education, or even political leanings. The rapid industrialization and urbanization in the U.S. saw mass migrations that brought diverse accents into closer contact, creating new linguistic melting pots, but also reinforcing existing prejudices.
The shifting sands of the late 20th century, media mobility and the softening of boundaries.
The latter half of the 20th century ushered in significant changes that began to subtly reshape the landscape of accent perception. Increased social mobility, rising levels of education, and the pervasive influence of mass media all played crucial roles. The advent of television brought a wider array of voices and faces into homes than radio ever had. While early television largely maintained the dominance of standard accents, particularly in news and drama, by the 1970s and 80s, more regional and diverse accents began to appear. especially in comedy, soaps, and later reality television. This exposure started a slow process of normalizing accents that had previously been marginalized, chipping away at the singular authority of RP. The BBC itself, recognizing the need to reflect a more diverse Britain, gradually diversified its presenters' accents, a move that would have been unthinkable a few decades prior. In the UK, the rise of estuary English became a notable linguistic phenomenon, a blend of received pronunciation and working-class London accents. Estuary English reflected a societal shift where traditional class boundaries were becoming less rigid. It allowed speakers to retain a degree of local identity while also sounding less overtly working class than a full Cockney accent, making it a popular choice for upwardly mobile individuals seeking to navigate different social spheres. The globalization of media further complicated the picture. American films and television series gained massive international popularity, exposing global audiences to American English and its diverse accents. Similarly, the spread of international news and entertainment meant that accents from Australia, Canada, Ireland, and later from countries where English was a second language, such as India or Nigeria, became increasingly familiar to a global audience. This widespread exposure, while not eradicating bias, at least began to foster a greater familiarity and perhaps a subtle erosion of the notion that only one correct English accent existed.
The 21st century, persistent bias in a diverse soundscape.
Despite the greater linguistic diversity of the 21st century, accent bias remains a pervasive and often insidious social construct. While overt discrimination may be less socially acceptable, unconscious biases continue to influence perceptions and opportunities.
Employment discrimination. Numerous studies across English-speaking countries reveal that accent can still be a significant barrier to employment and career progression. Individuals with accents perceived as non-standard, foreign, or from a lower socioeconomic background may face discrimination in hiring, promotions, and client interactions. They might be deemed less intelligent, less articulate, or less professional, irrespective of their actual qualifications or abilities. This bias is particularly prevalent in customer-facing roles, management positions, and professions where communication is paramount, such as law, medicine, or teaching. While anti-discrimination laws exist, for example Title VII in the US, Equality Act in the UK, proving accent-based discrimination, especially when tied to subtle national origin biases, remains challenging.
Social perception. In everyday social interactions, accents continue to trigger immediate, often subconscious judgments. A particular accent might evoke assumptions about a person's intelligence, trustworthiness, educational background, or even their personality. Stereotypes perpetuated by media, for example, villains with certain accents, comedic characters with others, reinforce these biases. While some accents might be perceived as charming or authentic, others can still lead to unfair pigeonholing, similar to compartmentalizing groups or, at worst, outright prejudice.
The role of education. Educational institutions have a crucial role to play in either perpetuating or challenging accent bias. While fostering clear communication is important, pressuring students to adopt a standard accent can stifle identity and create feelings of inadequacy. Increasingly, educators are recognizing the importance of linguistic diversity and encouraging students to value their unique linguistic heritage while developing adaptive communication skills.
The Internet's influence, the rise of social media and global communication platforms, has created unprecedented opportunities for linguistic exchange. Online communities allow people from diverse linguistic backgrounds to connect, share ideas, and normalize a vast array of accents. However, the Internet also amplifies echo chambers and can be a breeding ground for xenophobia, meaning a fear or dislike of anything foreign, and linguistic prejudice, where individuals might be mocked or criticized for their accents in online forums.
Conclusion: accents as evolving social barometers.
Over the last 100 years, accents in English-speaking societies have transformed from rigid indicators of a hierarchical class structure to more fluid, yet still potent, markers of identity, background, and social perception. While the singular dominance of received pronunciation has faded and a greater diversity of accents is heard in public life, the inherent biases linked to how we speak persist.
Understanding the social constructs embedded within accents is crucial for fostering truly inclusive societies. It requires recognizing that an accent is a fundamental part of identity and heritage, not an indicator of ability or intelligence. As English continues its reign as a global lingua franca, or a language that is used to facilitate communication between people who do not share a native language, embracing the rich tapestry of its diverse accents is not just a matter of linguistic appreciation, but a vital step towards dismantling long-held prejudices and building a world where the way one speaks does not dictate one's destiny. The ongoing evolution of accents will continue to serve as a fascinating barometer of societal change, reflecting our evolving understanding of identity, belonging, and equality.
It's the 1 to 40 precise. Es will stimmt mit Mike Hausnummer. Ich nie. Das Spiel sei subscribed. And hit subscribes in posting.